what do you say to the military men and women who have, because a lot have weighed in here, have texted me and called you a traitor? What do you say?
Yeah. I don't care. I don't. It doesn't matter to me that those particular veterans say that. Because I, first and foremost, do not represent all veterans. V4F, we have about 2,000 members of veterans only that see things from our point of view. Many of them are vaccinated, many of them are not. But what's interesting is there's 1,000 Canadian military members right now that said, no way am I doing that. And they were kicked out dishonorably, kicked out of the military. Because they said, yeah, we've been through it with methylquin. We've been through it with other stuff. I ain't doing it with this, and so forget it. I ain't doing it.
But isn't that when your job description changes?
That's $1 billion.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, like your job description changes with the. Yeah, I know, but the job description changes with that $1 billion worth of training, right? Like the job description is, hey, listen, you got to get vaccinated because of X now. It's just, isn't that part of the job description in public health, public service?
No, because again, this has to go back to.
You think it's flawed? Yeah,
I think it's very flawed because when we look at unlimited liability, like I said in the beginning, you can't order me to go play in traffic down Yonge Street. You can't make that order, which is where people stood their ground and they said, I don't believe that your order for me to partake in this is a lawful order because of the Canadian laws. I think that's an illegal order. I'm not going to follow it. And so they asked for an exemption. They did the administrative process. They were denied unless they were a doctor or a lieutenant colonel and above. They were denied an exemption. And so people said, so going back to your veteran friends that think I'm a traitor, what I'd like to know is, why? Why do you think? Justify to me why you think that I am a traitor to my country because I was going to the government protesting, which I had a legal right to do, which these veterans should look at the Constitution. It's actually in Section 2 that says that I have a right to legally protest. So what is it exactly that these veterans are even in the military fighting for, trying to defend, if they're not going to defend people's right to actually have a protest, which a judge agreed with? So they want to call me not a terrorist,
traitor.
A traitor. Go ahead, but it's based on the CBC's talking points. It's not based on their own ability to think for themselves.
Okay, so
and that's the problem.
And I would insert that from your side, absolutely. I would insert that the reason why they probably call you that name is because you were one of the faces of the convoy that was attached to the MOU that was about replacing a duly elected government.
Yeah. So you got it's a great question. A great question from the realist PJ about the MOU. I can tell you, and I'm going to be very careful because I know that this is going to be something that comes up at the public inquiry. So I want to be very careful about this, what I say, right? I personally did not agree with the MOU. Several people did not agree with the MOU. There was a small group of people who participated in the MOU. The vast majority of us on our side spoke to them to get them to retract it, which they ended up retracting. It was a very isolated small group of people that wrote the MOU independent of the convoy. And there were also other groups that actually wanted to do more things. And we said, no, we are here for one thing only, end the federal mandates. That's it. Not overthrow the government, not change the government.
Yeah, that's what Bridget Belton was all about. That's what turned her off. She said when everybody started kind of getting in behind the scenes and doing the shit, she was out. But to that point, that MOU, when did you know that? Like, because you showed up under the auspices that this is what you guys were doing. Like, whether or not you agreed with it or not, you still went. And there's like this old adage, you know, it's the same thing with like the dude that showed up with the Confederate flag and the Nazi flag and all that shit, is that if you're at a dinner party and a Nazi shows up to the dinner party and there's 20 people but only one Nazi, you're still at a Nazi dinner party.
Yeah, exactly. You get painted with that one particular person.
As you should, because you're allowing that person to be there. correct?
If you allow
so my
that
point
person
is
to stay,
that
yes,
that MOU was about, which is why I'm trying to explain the trader comment. I don't have I don't have an agreement with it or not. I'm not a veteran. I hold you all in the same respect in the service that you've given this country, all that stuff. But understanding where that trader comment came from, it came from the idea that a guy who was paid to protect democracy in this country was ready, willing, and able to go and subvert it.
So let me clarify that, because I don't agree with that characterization. Because what I can tell you for a fact, and I won't speak for any other person at the convoy, but what I will tell you for a fact, and I will even say this if asked about it at the inquiry, what I'll tell you for a fact is, when I learned of the MOU, it was already after it had been made public. And the moment I learned of the MOU, because I would have done everything in my power to stop that from actually being made public. And when I learned about it, I actually went to the one person that I knew that was heavily involved in that. And I said, you have to retract that now. You have to take it back, because if you don't, we're going to denounce it right away. The next day it was actually pulled back, and it was, to the best of their ability. I mean, the genie was out of the bottle, right?
Yeah.
But it was retracted the next day. And I won't speak for anyone else, and I won't say who I was talking to, but I can tell you with absolute certainty, I had this conversation and I said, that must be retracted.